Hi everyone, I'm Martin and welcome to another great edition of MP Astro. Now, as you can remember from the last few parts, I did a product review on this Skywatcher 114mm Skyhawk Newtonian reflector. So far I've been testing it out extensively on this fantastic budget beginner starter telescope, and so far I'm just impressed with this telescope. The more I've been using it, the more I'm finding astronomy much more fun. And I was actually surprised to see a lot of detail from this telescope, and I've been using it for quite a bit for observing, and I've observed quite a lot of objects with it, particularly the deep sky objects. I have used it to view the moon and Venus with great detail. However, I'm actually really impressed with the aperture. I've been able to observe, which is the Messier objects, which is I've been observing Messier 97, which is the Owl Nebula. I've also been observing Messier 65 and 66, which are the Leo triplets with this scope. Again, I could see the faint patches on there and the structure on the galaxy. Looking at M51, the Whirlpool galaxy, and I could also see its companion with this telescope with some good detail as well. Hercules cluster, which is the Messier 13, I've seen a little bit of gradulation in the stars in the centre, and I'm actually quite surprised with the telescope resolving quite a bit of detail on there. So I have been really busy with this telescope, mostly observing. So this is where it goes into another part of the video. Like always, I give out a good product reviews, and I've been searching around a lot on the internet, and I came across this product for the AZ-EQ Avant mount, and I was quite surprised that there is such an upgrade for it. So here in this video, I'm going to take you through this product that I've just seen, and like always I'm going to do an unboxing video and take you through the stages, and I will give out a good honest opinion on that product. Again, I will be testing it out extensively to show you guys and girls how it performs. So I found this product online, and it was at a website from Rother Optics. Again, it's a very good, trusted astronomy retailer. I've shopped with them for quite a few years, and they've always provided 110% customer service. I've never had any real issues with them, and they will give you some expert advice on anything regarding with astronomy and the equipment they have in their showroom. Obviously, with times we've got at the moment with difficult situations, so Rother Valley Optics is still open, so please check out their website below. Again, please shop online, check out the website. If you're interested in purchasing any of the products that I put out, again, the links are down below for this telescope and for this unique upgrade that I found. So please check them out. They're all at the description below, and if you're interested on the products you see in this video, please hit a like on this video. Again, please subscribe onto my channel. Also, please share this out as well. Again, some people don't get to see what's going on in this world, and again, please share the video out. But also hit the notifications bell. By hitting that bell, you'll get updated on the latest videos that I'll push out. And again, I have loads and loads of ideas that I'm going to share to you guys and girls, so that I'll keep you guys entertained through the tough situations we're having at the moment. So now, if you want to find out more about this upgrade that I've got, and then you're interested and you'd like to find out more, let's crack on with the good work and let's do this. So, we take a close look on this upgrade that I've just found from Rother Valley Optics. And as we got here is just a very small box. Again, normal box, no fancy pictures or labelling. And again, a lot of good products do not come in fancy boxes, like I mentioned before, a lot of videos. And what we're going to do is we're going to open her up. Okay, see, at the moment, all we got is the serial number, which is T0952. So I'm going to open her up. Okay. So, right, looks like sealed in polythene bags. We'll drag that out. Like always, Rother Valley Optics make sure that all products are well sealed and packaged. So what we've got inside here, it looks like we've got an instruction manual, and it looks like we've got a few bolts and a few tools. So as you see there, what I've got here is actually a motor drive. Now this is the Skywatcher right tension motor drive. This motor drive is designed for the AZ-EQ Avant mount, and also it can fit the Skywatcher StarQuest mount. Again, you can find this price around about £54 at the maximum cost I've seen. However, Rother Valley Optics are selling this at a good price at £49, which to me is a good deal. What it is, this motor drive, it provides a single speed 1x side reel rate tracking, and it provides that tracking on the RA axis of your mount. So we take a closer look on this motor drive, and as you can see, it's a very compact design. Here it looks like you've got a battery compartment here. If you flip that out, it looks like it can take 2 AA batteries. The actual component itself is made entirely of a good steel bracket on the back, and there is a plastic case all the way around. It looks like there is a clutch mechanism and lock drive there, which is a nice handy feature. So it looks like you can operate the mount in manual, and if you want the motor drive to be activated, you just simply lock it or loosen. Also, in this part here, there is a south and north hemisphere switch. So at the moment it's in the off position, and if you're in the south hemisphere or you're in the north hemisphere, you switch the switch on there to allow the drive to turn at different directions. Again, use the motor drive in what hemisphere you're at on Earth. So you've got that feature. Now the one thing I really am interested on this motor drive is this. If we take a look on the side, here you've got a battery status warning light. And then this is what's got my eye. This has an auto guide port, which is an ST4 port lead. So that's something I need to highlight here, and it's that what I'm going to look further on as I progress through my videos. So far, this motor drive, obviously being a very unique ergonomic design, plus it can mount onto different mounts. But the thing is, I do like the compactness of this product, and that's what's appealing. And the thing that's also appealing is that auto guide. So in other words, that's opened a new window for people who have got budget mount and be able to auto guide. With this motor drive, you do get a good instruction manual, very well detailed, and Skywatcher really improved on their instruction manuals now, and I'm glad that they are getting better and better. Also with the kit, you do get a set of Allen keys, and it looks like the actual mounting bolts. As you can see on the motor drive, you've got two separate holes, and you've got the brass part on the RA axis. Now that brass part is the actual worm drive for the RA axis, and you can see where this motor drive will fit. So here's a closer look on the brass drift. As you can see there, the RA axis is a flat piece there. This is where the motor drive, the Allen bolt needs to be in line with the flat part. Again, if you can't turn it round, you can always turn the shaft round to get in line with this gear wheel. You can also slacken it out to then move the actual part itself. All right, and the tip is to install that part first before you install the main bolts. So you slot it in, and then get your Allen key, and you're just going to tighten up like so. Okay, reasonable tight, but not too tight. Okay, just enough so that that wheel is locked in place. You've got to carefully support the RA drive, because at the moment it's resting on the RA axis. And then what you do is you carefully rotate it and then line it to the holes. You then place one of your screws, okay, couple of threads, just enough so it rests on there, because what you don't want to do is twist the RA axis brass and bending the motor drive. You then get the bigger Allen key. You then install the other bolts. Again, all you're doing is line it up to the holes, like so, while supporting the motor drive. Now the bottom one, the bottom one's quite tricky, so it may take you a few times to get it lined up, but make sure that these bolts tighten it up, just nip it up, and then you tighten up the top screw. And as you see, make sure that both bolts are nipped up, and then you should have no free play. That is now the motor drive installed. And as you can see there, it's quite easy to fit. The only difficult part is making sure that your brass spindle is aligned with the gear wheel. So now we're going to put the batteries in, take out the lid, use good rechargeable batteries like an Energizer, fit them into the compartment like so, and replace the lid. So if you want to use the motor drive, all you got to do is find the target you want to view. Once you got the target, lock both clutches. To then begin the motor drive, you then simply lock the clutch in place. With that clutch locked in, you then make sure that your southern or northern hemisphere switch is switched on. This will now activate the RA axis motor drive, which means that that gear will be rotating round. Can you hear it? That's the motor drive working. Now, it's actually very quiet, the motor drive, and that's actually working in the RA axis. Now, one thing I do need to point out is once that clutch is engaged, you cannot operate this part. So this is the manual knob for the RA axis. You can't operate the slow motion controls on that side. You can operate on the deck side because there's no motor, so you can operate that. But while that clutch is engaged, you cannot operate the RA axis. Now, if you do that, all you're going to do is you're going to risk damaging the motor drive. So now you can hear the motor drive working. To do this is you switch the motor drive off in the off position, then go to the clutch and unlock it like so. Okay, so now the clutch is in the off position or loosened position. You can now use the slow motion controls like so. We're at the side of the tracker, and as you can see there is an LED light that's flashing. Now, according to the manual, it's an LED indicator, and that indicates that the tracker is working normal. So as it's working normal, it's meant to flash slowly. What it states in the manual, if that LED light flashes quickly, it means there's a good indication that the batteries becomes low. Now, the idea is good. I do like the idea of what Skywatcher are trying to address it. However, I do actually find it a bit misleading, because I've just replaced the new batteries and I know they're fresh and they've just been recharged, that to me is really flashing a bit. So the manual is very vague. It doesn't illustrate or describe it properly. So I find that a bit misleading, because that to me could tell me that the batteries are discharged and they'll need more, they'll need replacement batteries for the tracker. So that to me, I feel that Skywatcher should really design that a little bit better. It should either be like a separate LED light to say the tracker, like a green light, like the tracker is working, and then there should be like little LED lights to show you the level of the battery, of the state of the batteries are in. So that would have been better, but a single light, I find that very misleading. But that's the only qualm I have at the moment with the tracker. But everything else seems like a neat package. Now we're going to look at the auto guide port. This is the auto guide port here, and it's the ST4 lead. Now with the tracker, you do not get an ST4 port lead, which is this cable here. All right, you don't get them at all. All right, you have to purchase these separately. Now I'm just going to test out the port and see how well made it is. Again, with ST4 leads, you can use good quality ST4 leads to ensure that your auto guiding is going to be reliable. Always get the best quality cables you can buy. We're just going to test out the port, see how secure it is. Again, make sure that you switch off the motor drive before you plug in any power source or any auto guiding source. So connect it up. Wow, that's a very good fit. So I'm actually quite chuffed with that. So the auto guide port, the lead connection is very good. Yeah, very good, very secure. It's not going to come off. And yeah, that's good. That's it. Yeah, I like that. It's very good fit, that. Now the purpose of an ST4 cable or auto guide cable, what this drive enables you to do is you'll be able to auto guide your mount. So this is connected to a guide camera, and on that guide camera, the guide camera will sense any star trailing. So when the mount's tracking and the guide camera detects any motion of the stars. Now the guide camera can be controlled by a separate software, or it can be a standalone guider. With this guide camera, once it detects any motion of the stars trailing, it then sends out a signal to the ST4 through the auto guide port and tells the tracker when to speed up or slow down. It's actually a very simple process and it works very efficient. And what this auto guiding process will do is it will enable the user to take longer exposed images. So you can take up to 5 minutes, 10 minutes exposure times and get more and more of the faint light collected. So you can guide in the RE axis with that port, and you'll be able to track, the telescope will be able to track very sufficient, and it will enable you to expose for longer. So if you want to take astro images with this telescope, first thing you're going to need is a DSLR camera like this. Now with this DSLR camera, you're also going to need a quick release cable or shutter cable that's connected to the side of the camera. Now, because this telescope, as that focuser has limited inward focus, Newtonians suffer a lot from that. So if you attach the camera onto the eyepiece, you're not going to achieve focus. So to achieve focus on a Newtonian, all you have to do is remove the eyepiece, with the camera, you need to take the lens off. Then you're going to need a T-ring adapter to fit over your camera. That depends on what camera you have. So you fit the T-ring. Okay, like so. That's locked in. You're going to need a Barlow lens. Now this is a 2x Barlow lens, and believe it or not, this is the Barlow lens that I last reviewed from my last video. Again, if you've not seen the product review on this Barlow lens, check it out at the top. Right, I have done this awesome review on this Barlow lens. Alright, so please check it out. And with this Barlow lens, I can screw it onto the T-ring, okay, like so. Then I'll then fit it over the eyepiece, focuser, tighten up the brackets, and there you go. This telescope now can be able to focus the image, and I can take astro images. Right, the quick release is very handy for me to operate the camera shutter without touching the mount or the telescope. This is a very good accessory. You may get an infrared remote control, something like this item will be able to operate the camera that way. But again, both systems are good, right, and they will work. And all that is enables you to do is to operate the shutter, take the shot without you touching any parts of that telescope or the mount or the tube. And what that's going to do is going to help you get a much sharper image, no star trailing, okay, because of the vibrations. And this is key. And again, you can take the shot of the camera that way. So the only problem with this system is that the Newtonian will need more time to expose. So what that 2x Barlow has done is increase the focal length of this telescope. So this is not an f4.3. This will make the telescope more like an 8.6 focal ratio. So all that's going to do is not going to make my optics fast at collecting that faint light. So I need to take longer exposures to do this, to be able to get some images. So it'll take longer to expose, but at least I can achieve focus with this setup. There are a few ways to get around it. You can always set the ISO to a higher ISO, but you've got to be careful when you set up the ISO, because if you increase the ISO rating, the sensitivity of the sensor will build up a noise. Now this noise will give you a pixelated image. So the longer time you expose with the high ISO, the more of that noise will become apparent. So that noise is basically the electronics from that camera heating up from the inside, and that's what's giving that effect. So the images will be very pixelated. So you've got to set a bit of a balance when you up the ISO. If you're taking short exposures, you can increase the ISO to a reasonable amount. So I've got the telescope set up outside and we're waiting for clear skies to tip up tonight. Hopefully they clear up so I can start using the RA tracker or RA motor drive. So like I mentioned in part 3, again, if you've not seen part 3 of the review of this telescope, please check it out. I did highlight in detail, but I'm just going to briefly go exactly like I did on part 3. In order for that RA motor drive to work efficient and get the best performance, in other words, you want that motor drive to track, and what that does is it enables you to be able to track objects you want to view. So anything you want to observe will stay in the eyepiece, and what that does, it should, a perfect polar alignment should be only one axis should be moving, and that should be the right hension axis. So it should be only one motion. Now when you're trying to do astro imaging, your polar alignment must be spot on, and I can't stress that enough. If you get the best polar alignment you can get, the most accurate you can get, I can guarantee you will be able to get some good astro images. Now don't quote me on that, okay? I'm just first testing out this equipment, so I'm just going to start off observing and then I'll proceed onto the astrophotography part. So I'm going to briefly cover the setup. So remember what I said on part 3, make sure that the tripod is on level ground. Make sure that the tripod mount is pointing north. To also ensure that the tripod is supported by any weight if you require it. The next point is make sure that the telescope is in the home position. In other words, the deck axis and the tube is in line and the counterweights are down. You then set up your latitude on your pole, celestial pole, depending where you live. Again, to find out where you live, check out GPS status, or even use Google Maps. That will give you latitude in your area. Once you've got the latitude of the area, you roughly put it in the position it meant to be. All the adjustments for polar alignment should only be done via the alt-azimuth bolts and the latitude bolts on the mount. You do not touch the slow motion controls or loosen the deck axis or the RA axis. So in theory, when it's dark, imagine it's dark, I'm trying to find Polaris. I remove the dust cap, I use the widest eyepiece I have available, which is a 25mm. I switch on my red dot finder. That red dot finder should be aligned with the main scope. If it isn't, please do that. Then what you do, it's in the home position, the mount's pointing north, and what we do is we look through, find Polaris, adjust the latitude and the alt-azimuth bolts, and Polaris is in the red dot finder. We then look at through the eyepiece, focus the image. Polaris is now focused. We then loosen the right hension axis and we are going to tilt it 90 degrees, depending left or right. At 90 degrees, look through the red dot finder. Polaris is moved. We then use these bolts, the altazimuth and latitude, to adjust accordingly. So we've got Polaris lined up. We then check the eyepiece. What we're trying to achieve is Polaris should be either from the left or right, but as long as it's in the field of view of the eyepiece. Once it's in the view of eyepiece, we then loosen the RE axis, tilt it round to the home position. We then look through the red dot finder. It's still in position. We then look through the eyepiece, still in position. We now want to tilt it the other 90 degrees. Again, loosen the right tension axis to 90 degrees, lock it in place. We then look through the red dot finder, and we've noticed that Polaris is slightly moved out, it's not quite, so again, adjust the altazimuth bolts on the mount and adjust the latitude bolts accordingly. We now adjusted it and Polaris is in line with the red dot finder. We then go to the eyepiece, we look through the eyepiece, and now we can confirm that Polaris is on the opposite side of the edge of field of view. So then what we do is we go all the way back, check again in home position. We've checked Polaris, Polaris is in the field of view, and then we check again to the other 90 degrees, checking Polaris, and it's in the field of view. So when you're looking at through the eyepiece, you'll see that Polaris will move from left to right. As long as it's in the same field of view within that eyepiece, you should be in good polar alignment. Top tip: once you use the wide field eyepiece, change over and go for a 10mm eyepiece. Swap it round. What that's going to do is going to narrow the field of view. It'll give you more magnification, but again, you'll have to adjust the mount a little bit closer. What that's doing is it's the same process. Look through the red dot finder, look for the eyepiece, tilt, check again, might need to adjust, check again, through the red dot finder, check through the eyepiece. Once you're in those limits, it's going to narrow that adjustment a bit more, and what that's going to do is you're going to get more and more closer to Polaris. And what you're trying to achieve is, if you look at it, if you can get a perfect rotation all the way around within that eyepiece field of view, you will have a fantastic chance of getting perfect tracking with this motor drive. And this is what we're going to do. So I'm going to wait till tonight, hopefully it gets clear, and I'll be able to test out the performance of that RA drive and see how good it is. Once we start doing a bit of observing, we'll then move into try and take photos with it. So please, everyone, wish me luck, and fingers crossed. As you can see there, we are using the motor drive, and we are tracking the moon. And as you can see, the tracking is absolutely amazing. That picture of the moon's kept in there for quite some time now, and I'm really happy how that simple motor drive has done a great job keeping that moon. Now that's been in for about a good 5 minutes, so my pole alignment must be absolutely spot on there. And at the moment I'm recording an AVI file. So with this AVI file, the whole idea is once I get a 2-minute shot of that, I can literally, and I kid you not, I can literally stack all that files together into one single image. And what that will do is it will stack that single image, and I'll have a much better, much greater detail in there, right? And I'll have a much sharper image, and it'll be just simply out of this world. Now at the moment I've got some fantastic seeing conditions, so already looking at that I've got, it's perfect. And the good thing is, because there's a slight haze in the sky, it's not so great for like deep sky objects, or if you're looking for something faint, but like for targets like the moon or planets, if there's a slight haze in the sky, it usually dampens out quite a lot of turbulence. And as you see there, I've hardly got any shimmering at all in that image, and that motor drive it's still tracking. Unbelievable. It's a fantastic upgrade. That's just kept in that eyepiece for that's kept in that camera for quite some time now. And this is a good 5 minutes. It has moved slightly, but to be honest with you, that's impressive. And the whole key is, it doesn't matter what mount you have, pole alignment is key. And if you've got an equatorial mount, the more accurate you can get within the celestial pole or North Star, I guarantee you now, you can track objects for quite some time. And that's impressive to have the moon literally in there for a good 5 minutes and it's still kept in the camera. That's impressive. So, like I said before, as long as you're pole aligned and you've got good tracking motors, you can take awesome pictures. And this is just one of the examples what I'm trying to make to show beginners that you can achieve good images with budget equipment. And the whole key aspect is practice, learn the sky, master your telescope controls, get used to the equipment you need to go through practicing your setup. And the whole idea is skill, alright? Skill and knowledge is earned when you practice. And look at that. I've been on that moon now for quite some time now, and I'm still tracking that. And don't forget, this is only a one RA axis, alright? So the RA axis is continuously moving. You could probably hear it in the background, but it just shows you, if you know your equipment and you practice and you start to get used to it, you can achieve amazing images, amazing, not just that, you can also achieve good observing, actually get to see the night sky, enjoy all the views, and that's what it's all about. And again, you can show your family and friends a lot of these things through your telescope, and you just can't forget this. You really can't forget it. So now what we're going to do is, because my polar alignment is quite good, I'm going to move over to Orion Nebula, and I'm going to take a long exposure. So we've got the camera set up at 20 seconds, ISO 1600. Can this mount with its basic motor drive get a long exposure image? Let's do this. So we're taking the time of exposure. Can she do it? Oh my god, we've just done it. We've just got a deep sky object with this basic mount. This 114 is absolutely amazing. So we're going to check on the image. Yep, we've got her. We've got the Orion Nebula. We've got the center core. That is just absolutely amazing. Well, I'm well impressed with that. Really am. So we're going to take loads of shots of that and see what we get, and we're going to get an awesome image. So we're now going to take a picture. We set the standard camera. This is a standard DSLR camera, no bells and whistles. It's not modified by any means. Using this mount, and from there I'm going to take an ISO 6400 at a timed exposure of 20 seconds. It's a lot of exposure and it's going to be a very noisy image. So I'm going to press the shutter. So I don't have a quick release on this one. So I'm using a 10-second delay so to dampen out any undue movement. So we're taking the shot. So this should be 20 seconds. So 20 seconds. Oh my god. Really? Oh my god. I just don't believe it, right? This is definitely right. This is definitely the same mount, right? And I'm not joking. We've just got Orion Nebula. I just can't believe it. We just got Orion Nebula in that picture with this mount set up. I kid you not. Really, that is absolutely amazing. So it just shows you what you can achieve with awesome results like this. That's absolutely amazing. So we're now being really adventurous. We're going to have a go at the Flame Nebula and see what outcome we get. So this is ISO 6400 at 20 seconds. I think we're being a bit over ambitious, but again, we like to play about with the equipment we've got. Doesn't matter how basic, go for it. Oh my god, you're joking me. We've just got the Flame Nebula. Wow. I'm impressed already. Really? See what I mean? You can get awesome images if you put your skills into place and show what you can do. You just got to practice and practice, get your polar alignment, get your setup sorted out, and we've just got the Flame Nebula. That is just amazing. Particularly, it's a very faint object in the night, one of the faint objects in the night sky. This is impressive stuff, to be say the least. So that concludes my findings on using this motor drive. Would I recommend it? Yes, I would. I think it's a fantastic upgrade for such a basic mount, and if you want to start getting into a little bit into astrophotography, this motor drive will enable you to do such tasks. But the other thing is, I would get it anyway, and particularly for the observers amongst us, as an observing tool, this will make life a lot easier, especially if you want to study really faint objects in the night sky, or if you're tracking an object like the moon or Venus where it's very fast moving out of way. You know, you want to be studying the details on the planet or the moon you're looking at. So the motor drive will enable you observers to be able to observe comfortably without having to use the slow motion controls. And as you saw how it performed with the moon, it's performed amazing, to be honest with you. And don't forget, I was tracked on that moon for quite some time, and I've been at it for probably a good 30 minutes of tracking that moon constantly. I never had to move the slow motions at all. But the thing is, you must be polar aligned. Once you're polar aligned with the scope properly, that motor drive will work fantastic. But you've got to polar align for it to work. Alright, and as you saw, as I was taking you through imaging Orion Nebula, alright, and the Flame Nebula, and that's a very, very faint object for a telescope of this size. But for me to get those images just using the normal drive, and don't forget, it's not auto guided by any means, that's very, very impressive, to say the least. And it will open new doors for the guys who are just starting out and they want to do a little bit of astrophotography. It's not impossible. You can do it, but you must be polar aligned to get it. And that's how crucial polar alignment is. If you're polar aligned and you've got it spot on, providing that polaris is within that eyepiece on both sides, when you rotate the Ori axis, you're on a winner. You'll have a better chance to get long exposure, but you must get that polar alignment to a T for this motor drive to work effectively. So please, it's not impossible to use basic equipment, but as I mentioned from the last videos, so what I'm trying to say is, with this basic equipment, it will work, but I'm not going to guarantee you that it's going to work straight out of the box. You have to do your homework to then get it polar aligned for the motor drive to work. So it's practice, practice, practice. You've got to keep at it, keep practicing, and you'll get there, and one day you'll take amazing pictures. But again, I did a rough polar alignment, and the mount for me to get those exposures is impressive, and I was surprised. I was shocked. You know, I couldn't believe what I got. Alright, it's not as the images that I got there for the scope is not as good as compared to that, but don't forget that image was taken at 10 minutes exposure time. But to get images like these, you have to use auto guiding. But for me to get an impressive image of Orion and the Flame Nebula at 25 to 30 seconds exposure time, that is pretty damn good. And I'm saying that is pretty damn good. I know it's not they're not like the limits compared to these images. These were done by better equipment, and they were auto guided. So that motor drive, to be honest with you, has opened a new door for the beginner. Despite a few glitches that I would say that it needs improving. Would I recommend this product? Yes, I would, because what I see is it's opened a new door, making observing a lot easier, and plus it helps the beginner and able to take some basic form of astrophotography at a lowest level, and definitely I would recommend it. So I will give this 4 stars. But because of the certain things would be better, like the external power, a better battery status. Unfortunately, I can't test out the auto guide system because, like always, UK weather has plagued us again with clouds, and I've been unable to test out the ST4. However, I will be testing it out later on in another video. So the points I like to make is on this product is I do like the compactness. The bracket fits better onto the mount, and it makes it as if it's part of that mount, which I do like. Now, a lot of the EQ mounts that I've seen with the motor drives are usually very flimsy, and they stick out and they don't bolt in, and are very cheaply made. And plus, what I don't like about the older models of these motor drives, and you get loads of wires hanging out from them. One thing I do like about this mount is the motor drive is one solid unit. It's bolted together in a nice compact space, and that's what makes it so attractive and appealing. It's got good instructions, it's got metal construction, and it's mounted better, and the options for auto guide are absolutely amazing. Now, the bad points I want to highlight is that the motor drive does provide sufficient amount of control against the Earth's rotation, but unfortunately the battery life on that motor drive is not great. At the most, you'd be lucky to get around about 6, maybe 8 hours of use. So it doesn't sound a lot, but you then need to change the batteries. So top tip is buy yourself some rechargeable batteries so you can recharge it, get it ready for the next day. So that's the only qualm I have, is the battery life is not that great, and it's between 6 and 8 hours of use, of continuous use, is the most you're going to get from that motor drive. The other qualm I have about the motor drive is it only has 1 speed. I would like to have seen it in 2 times and maybe 4 times speed, depending on the subject you're looking at. So I would want a bit more functionality on the speed rating. The other thing I would like to highlight, the bad points, is I would like to have seen some way of a port where you can plug in a USB cable, or cable where you can plug it for any external batteries, providing it's got the right power rating and amps that's required to operate this drive. So there's no external power for you to use the motor drive. This system just purely relies on those batteries only. So I would like to have seen somehow the motor drive to have other methods of power. So that's the other thing. Having said that, with the motor drive being installed, it is actually a very good design, because when I rotate the tube, that motor drive is no way of colliding into any other parts of the mount or the tripod. So I do like how Skywatcher made a motor drive that it's so compact and well designed that it's not going to collide into anything on that mount. And that's a certain thing, that is one thing I need to highlight, which is really good. They really have done the homework on the motor drives. And I've seen basic motor drives for a lot of EQ mounts, and they always had problems where the actual motor drive will hit the base of the tripod or the mount, and it has certain limitations. And I know like one of the mounts, like the EQ5 for example, is renowned for the deck axis to be hitting against the side of the mount. However, on this mount, the motor drive is totally free from collision of any other part of the mount. So that's one good thing about that motor drive. So that concludes my product review. Please hit the like button. Okay, if you like the video, please hit the like. And again, if you're not subscribed onto my channel, please subscribe. And again, share this video out, right? Gives inspiration to a lot of people who are just starting out astronomy, and if they see something similar to that, they would be amazed. Okay, so please share that video out. So please hit the bell so you don't miss out. By hitting that bell, you'll get notified on the latest videos, right? And believe me, I have got tons of new video content waiting for you guys and girls. Thanks for watching. I wish you all to stay safe, and most of all, I wish you all clear skies.